Welcome back to Twilight Tales. Subscribe, like, and share, if you dare. Tonight's story will crawl under your skin and make a home in your nightmares. This is not for the faint of heart. They called him the Bone Collector, but that name didn't even come close to describing what he really was. A name like that made him sound like some sick hoarder, a collector of trinkets. But what he was far worse. He didn't just collect bones. He needed them, craved them, built something with them. Something alive. It started like these. Things always do. With a body found in an alley behind a dive bar in Chicago's South Side. A young woman, early 20s, bones missing from both hands. Clean cuts. No blood loss. Just gone. Her skin was neatly folded back, like someone had turned a page, and the bones had been plucked out with surgical precision. Detective Arlo Maddox had seen his share of brutality. But this was different. The killer hadn't left any fingerprints, any DNA. Nothing but a note written on the inside of the woman's eyelid. One of many. That was the first. The second came 3 nights later. A man, late 30s jogger, found in the park, spine missing, completely removed. No external wound, just a hollow in his back, like the vertebrae had been sucked out through the skin. Maddox stared at the body, wondering how the man had even died. The coroner said he died of shock, but Maddox didn't believe that. Then came the third and the fourth and the fifth. Every single one was missing bones. Different bones. Skulls, ribs, femurs, jawbones. Always cleanly removed. Always with a note somewhere on the body. The structure grows. He awakens. Bones know their master. The media went wild. Social feeds exploded with theories. Cults, Satanists, rogue doctors. People started locking their doors at night again, afraid to walk alone. The killer wasn't just leaving bodies. He was sending a message. Building a mythology, but the worst part? Maddox began to feel like he was being watched. At first, it was just a chill on the back of his neck. Then he'd see shadows move out of the corner of his eye. Once, he swore he saw something crawling across his ceiling while he lay in bed. A thin, white figure slithering like a spider. When he turned on the light, there was nothing there. Maddox dove into the case with a desperation that scared his partner, Julia. "You're not sleeping," she told him. "You look like hell." "Sleep doesn't help," he replied. "Not when you dream about bones." She didn't laugh. She just nodded, because she was starting to feel it too. They finally caught a break when a witness came forward, a homeless man named Curtis. He said he saw someone dragging a body into a storm drain 2 nights earlier. Said the guy didn't walk like a normal man. He skittered. They followed Curtis's directions and found the drain, deep in the industrial sector. It led into a labyrinth of tunnels that used to be part of the old rail system. Forgotten by time. A perfect place for someone or something to hide. They brought a team and went down. The smell hit them first. Not just rot, but something old, ancient. Like time itself had started to decay. The further they went, the darker it got. The lights on their gear barely touched the walls. Then they found it a chamber, maybe 30 feet wide, dome-shaped, lined with bones. Human bones. Thousands of them embedded into the walls like twisted artwork. Some were bleached white. Others still had bits of flesh hanging on. And in the center, a structure, 8 feet tall, vaguely humanoid, made entirely of bones, rib cages for a torso, spines woven like cables for limbs, a skull where a head should be, but not just one. Dozens, stacked and fused together. Wasn't just a display, it was alive. As soon as they stepped into the chamber, the lights went out. Complete blackness. Then a sound, not like a roar, more like the cracking of knuckles, amplified 1,000 times. One of the officers screamed. Maddox flicked his light on just in time to see the thing move. Fast, impossibly fast. And tear the man in half. Gunfire erupted. Chaos, blood on the walls. Maddox and Julia ran, sprinting through the tunnels, bullets flying behind them. They didn't stop until they saw daylight. Only 2 of them made it out. The department covered it up. Called it a gas explosion. Said the team got lost and died in a collapse, but Maddox knew better. The bone collector was real, and he was still building. Maddox couldn't sleep after that. Couldn't think. He spent his nights staring at case, files, drawing connections. He started seeing patterns in the city, disappearances that weren't reported, names that didn't show up in databases. It was like the city itself was hiding something. Then Julia went missing. She was last seen leaving her apartment. No forced entry, no sign of struggle, just gone. Maddox found a note in her fridge, scrawled in blood on the inside of the door. The final piece. That's when Maddox snapped. He stopped showing up to work, started living out of his car, following strange people at night, listening to the whispers in alleys. He swore the city was alive, and it was feeding the collector. One night he followed a man into an old church that had burned down years ago. He heard chanting inside, saw figures in long robes standing in a circle around what looked like a human skeleton being assembled like a puzzle. They didn't even flinch when he pulled his gun. One of them, a tall, bald man with hollow eyes, looked directly at him and said, "He needs you too, detective. Your bones are strong, righteous." Maddox shot him in the face. The body collapsed, but there was no blood. Just dust. He ran. Didn't stop until he hit the river. He fell to his knees, shaking, hearing the sound again, that bone-cracking echo following him. He knew what he had to do. He went back to the chamber. Alone. Armed to the teeth. This time, he brought explosives. If he couldn't stop the collector, he'd bury it. The tunnel welcomed him like a throat. He made it to the chamber. The structure had grown. Now it was 12 feet tall, with extra limbs, extra skulls. It was breathing. The air around it shimmered with heat and death. Maddox planted, the charges heart-pounding. Then he heard her Julia, her voice, calling to him, whispering his name. He turned and saw her, or what used to be her. Her body was twisted, limbs elongated, spine exposed and bent like wire. Her eyes were gone. In their place were sockets filled with black smoke. She opened her mouth and screamed, not sound, but bones. A rain of bones shot from her throat, clattering across the chamber. The collector moved. Maddox hit the detonator fire. Collapse, dust, and silence. They never found his body. They said he went crazy. A good cop lost to obsession. But sometimes on cold nights, people near the old tunnel swear they hear bones clacking in the dark. Some say the collector wasn't destroyed. It just needed time. And now it's building again. So if you hear a noise in the night like something crawling across your ceiling, don't look up, you might just be the next piece. Sleep tight. And don't forget to subscribe to Twilight Tales, where the darkness isn't just a story, it's real.